Hey, how's it going today? Welcome to Entrepreneur. I'm Nate Dodson. We also have, going that way, Jillian Sidoti, and we talk all things business. Jillian, how you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. I'm doing amazing. Thank you for
I'm,
asking.
yeah, well, it's we gotta, check in with one another. We've all got our businesses, our hustles, what we're doing to get ahead, not just, well, I've got 20 different things happening. I know you do too. And today we're going to focus on one of those great things, which is, hey, let's talk about real estate investing, kind of.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
we're going to be, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, and it's like I want to be clear to everybody. Like I don't know what's going to happen in the real estate market. I've been trying to predict the real estate market for the past since the last downturn, and I've been very unsuccessful. I've I've made money, don't get me wrong, I've made money in real estate, that's for sure. But the thing that I've realized, and what this presentation is about, is that there are deals in any market if you know how to look for those deals. So right now we're at the, you know, I, I think the tippity top of the market, but who knows what's going to happen now that we have
Let
a
me,
new presidency and there's a lot of excitement, but there's also a lot of uncertainty. So prices could stay the same, and you might not find any prices go down.
I
I
don't
don't have a
know.
crystal ball.
My
So
crystal ball says that it's going to keep growing. I mean, we just have a administration that is so real estate friendly.
mhm,
There's going to be
mhm,
pressure on the Fed to decrease interest rates. I love
right.
debt deals. I love being the bank. I think it's a great opportunity right now in this year. But just with a very real estate focused president, I think we've got some great run up still to happen.
I don't think you could get a more real estate focused president.
It'd be impossible.
I mean, I don't think you could. So with that being said, yeah, that's why I think this is so important because like if you've been sitting on the sidelines going, I don't know if I want to buy a house, I don't know if I want to move, I want prices to come down, or I don't know if I want to start investing yet because I don't know where the market's going to go. You just got to stop and think and go, wait, not I saw this quote the other day and it like gave me pause. Not Don't stop focusing on what something costs, but rather what is its value. And that I think is a great way to look at it when you're going into real estate investing instead. Like if you asked me a couple years ago if a house at $500,000 is costs too much, I probably would have said yeah, right. And now I'm sitting in a house that's worth a lot more than that, and I've sold houses that were worth a lot more than that. So you got to stop looking at what its cost is and start looking at what its value is, or what value can you create. And I think that's going to be a real big theme in today's discussion, is like what value can you create in the real estate space. So
And you know what? Just because before you jump in, and it's I'm excited to learn myself. And if
mhm,
anybody has questions, please put it in chat. I'm going to be asking questions. Probably throw it right in chat too, just so we're all sharing together.
yeah,
But where the value is, I mean, value is in the eye of the beholder and the buyer, but realistically, we're looking at residential properties that may be
yeah,
fix and flip, maybe long-term rentals, maybe Airbnbs. There's so many different ways to make money in real estate.
absolutely.
We're just talking about
Yeah.
that first step here. And Jillian's going to teach us a thing or two about how to find opportunity on Zillow.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I've done this a bunch of times. Now, Zillow's not the end all be all, right? Zillow's just a great place to start. And look, before you get on me about what a evil company Zillow has become and whatever, save it. They, with a bunch of other online, you know, agencies who didn't have as much hedge fund money behind them, made it so that you, from the comfort of your home, can find your next residence without driving around for hours and hours and hours. Um, you know, when I was a kid, I mean, I moved a ton when I was a child. I lived in Illinois, New York, Alabama, Massachusetts, Maine, and then finally in high school, I lived in Puerto Rico. And my parents loved looking at houses. They loved looking at real estate. But you know what they couldn't do is just look at real estate online because the internet did not exist. So looking at real estate involved piling their 5 children into a station wagon or a minivan and driving around for hours on end on weekends. So you eliminate that with Zillow, but it's still a treasure hunt. It's still going to actually, I hate to break it to you, take you hours. The difference is it's hours from the comfort of your own home. So that's really, what we wanna think about, and yes, also think about, interest rates coming down and what is it that you can, how can you benefit from what's gonna happen in the next 4 years or the next decade or 20 years. Okay, so you guys gotta give me a second here. Alright, so here's the thing too about why I love Zillow compared to other online portals, if you will. It's because they just, I feel, have the best search tool. So I'm gonna pull up my Zillow here, show you my Zillow.
I don't know if she's frozen or we're just staring at one another. Jillian, you appear to be frozen. Apparently appears to be very frozen. So while she is working out the kinks, let me share a little bit more about why I'm really excited for today. And Jillian's going to be teaching us how to find those perfect opportunities through Zillow. And she has some tips and tricks on how to design the searches. But at the end of the day, you do need to have some idea of your strategy. Are you trying to build that large rental pool? Are you trying to build up your portfolio of short-term rentals, vacation rentals? The reason why is the specifics of the particular property is really dependent on what's your strategy. If it's fix and flip, maybe you're looking for financing from a hard money lender. That hard money lender will actually fund, well, all to most of the property acquisition. A lot of hard money lenders do their evaluation based on ARV, after repair value. However, they don't want to be in these deals long term. With these hard money lenders, generally you're looking at 6 months to a year of debt financing at a pretty high rate. That's why they're giving you not great terms, but great debt to equity ratios. What you're looking for there is where you can create that quick value. It may be remodeling, rehashing, adding from office to bedroom to create additional, well, now it goes for 4 to 5 bedroom residence. But that is one strategy. Now, if you're looking to build your long-term rental portfolio, you should be looking for that traditional bank financing. That's where you're going to get the cheapest money. But even with the banks, they're still looking at debt to equity ratios. And so with that, you better have more money in your pocket ready to come to the table so that the bank will actually give you the loan. Also, you may not be looking for quite as dilapidated, yeah, improvable type of investment property. I mean, if you're going to flip it, you don't care if you're near a resort, a forest, national park. Those really help in terms of strategies with Airbnb. If somebody's just looking to buy a house for the family, what do they care about? Schools. How close to the commercial areas, what businesses are around, all that's going to drive the interest and the demand if you're creating a, the long-term rental pool, or also the fix and flips. But with Airbnb, there's a completely different considerations and strategies with that. You want to be around that national park. You want to have that amazing view. If your Airbnb is just in some neighborhood, nothing to see, not all that special, you can still rent it out through the short-term rental. You are just not going to get that daily rental rate that you would if you're backed up to a beautiful golf course even. But so what we're talking about here and what Jillian's going to teach, and thank God she's coming back because I'm coming to the end of my rambling, is based on your strategy is going to help define what properties you're looking for. And Jillian's going to teach us all about it. Welcome back.
Okay, listen.
Dodie.
Yeah, I'm cursing out Elon Musk right now because I have Starlink satellite.
Well, this may be a tough ride. I wonder if we should just, I hate when technical issues happen, especially when it's not us. It's that internet service that we really can't deal with. Oh, welcome back. I was afraid that I was going to have to like dance my way stage left.
Well, listen, if anybody has any advice for me, let me just tell you what I've done. I've literally changed internet service providers from, the broadband service to Starlink because Starlink is supposedly more reliable. I then spent over $1,000 rewiring my house so that I would have better internet throughout. So I'm not sure who to be mad at. Probably just the universe.
Elon's a great person to get mad at. There's plenty of people mad at him and he doesn't care. So
Elon Musk? Yeah.
yeah.
I'll write him. I'm gonna write him on X today. I'll tell him. I'm sure he'll read my tweet and be very upset and takes care of it right away. All right. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna try to keep going. And the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna pull up our Zillow. I'm gonna share my screen. And Nate, what I want you to do is I want you to give me a market, any market. It's like
any market. Well, I love the Airbnb world. I used to live here, Las Vegas, very specifically Henderson, Nevada, which is right next to Las Vegas.
Okay. So Henderson, we're going to do Henderson, Nevada. All right. Now here's the thing I want to tell you guys. Like, Nate's picking Henderson, Nevada, which is great. He knows his market. This thing that's really key in doing this is knowing your market or being aware of the market. And if you're not aware of the market, to be open-minded about the market. So, and I'm full of my market. Is there anywhere in Henderson, Nate, that you want to avoid?
The western part of Henderson, the closer to the east of Henderson, the closest to the strip, more attractive from a short-term rental, more attractive from a long-term lease perspective. So
again, Nate knows his market, right? So this is important. So if Nate knows his market, what I'm going to first do is I'm going to remove that boundary and I'm going to draw. I always want you to always be drawing. That's our
break out the crayons.
We'll take a little sliver in there. We'll pull in Lake Las Vegas because that's kind of fun. Now, when you're thinking about a short-term rental, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about something you want that's turnkey, or what are we looking at?
Most important thing is the closeness to an attraction as well as view. Whether you're looking in a national park, but in this case, we want to be as close to the strip as humanly possible, which is just right of the 15. So we'd be looking more on the, well, you could actually take that circle and move it over about 50%.
Yeah, and move it over. Okay, so like, let's try this. Draw, and then like right here.
Yep.
Is that where we want?
That looks great. Yep. Lake Las Vegas, too far out there.
All right.
We're looking at the Strip.
All right.
And this is why you need to know the market.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. You know, that's where it's almost, that's where you have to get off of Zillow and go drive around in that market that you want to be in. Or if you're looking afar, like I said, be really broad in your criteria and you might find some hidden gems. Okay. So now when you're thinking about, I have some things in here, so let's do this. When you're thinking about what you're trying to look for, Nate, in an Airbnb, what are you looking for?
3 to 5 bedrooms, larger living space, some uniqueness of where it's at, just not sitting in the middle of a neighborhood, ideally.
Okay. Uniqueness. Okay.
Yeah. So you know what? Where I actually lived in Las Vegas, just to share, it was like the perfect Airbnb. I was on the western side, the far western side, where the back of my house literally looked at a mine, like in the mountains. Within 10 minutes of the Strip, plus amenities and resort living all around. That, I wish I had it today. I would have Airbnb'd it like crazy.
Oh, Nate, if we're talking about, properties we wish we still had, we have a lot of them.
Oh yeah, the never-ending list.
Oh, oh, so many regrets. Okay, so we have 3 bedrooms. We have I've only picked houses and multifamily. Now, the other thing we want to be looking at, and remember, right now, for those of you who are on here because you're thinking, I want to look for my own personal residence, I'm going to show you how to do that too. Right now, we're looking for something that you could potentially Airbnb. We picked the Las Vegas market. And here's where people, I think, we're going to do that because I have it on, I'm on Zillow all the time. So I have to set days on Zillow to 7, or else I'm always looking at the same properties over and over again. So you want to make sure your days on Zillow are set to that. And now's where the fun part comes in. You said something really interesting. You said you want a unique location. And we should be putting that as a keyword in our search and our keywords down here. People do not use keywords enough in Zillow to find what's good. And then there's some other things here in Zillow that you want to start using as well. So here we go. Here's what we have that's unique. Now, perhaps you have a range. I'm assuming you're an experienced real estate investor, so you've probably done your numbers. Do you have a ceiling on what you want to purchase, on what you want to pay?
500 minimum, which doesn't get you much nowadays, to probably 1.8 million.
Okay. So we'll just go up to 2 million. And here we go. All right. So here we go. Now we're going to have some pretty nice houses here. Because this is a higher range. This is a very unique looking house. We can take a look at this, but then we have this little gem down here. And this catches my eye for what you're talking about, Nate, more than this one. Why? And you're going to say, well, the price point. Yes, but also the potential, right? And you're shaking your head.
Oh, I'm agreeing with you.
That,
I mean, that first one is absolutely gorgeous and you pay for it. I'm not looking to pay full price. I want that opportunity that I can bring that value. I mean, I love this house already, but
yeah, we can see right away, just like right here, you can see Yeah, yeah. Look at this. Right underneath, we can see this needs to be painted. This desperately needs to be painted. So there's probably a lot of room for improvement here. It's nice. Look, it's in great shape, beautiful on the inside. Beautiful, beautiful. Closed off kitchen. And and even though it's beautiful on the inside, it's still builder basic, right? So if we're trying to give an experience in Las Vegas of a 3 to 5 to 3 bedroom to 5 bedroom house and, rent it out for, say, the World Series of Poker or something like that, then this isn't gonna be of the quality that we need, and this gives us a lot of room for improvement, and we're way under budget, right? Now, the question becomes is where is it located? It also looks like it does look like it's on in a neighborhood, but it's on a very big lot. Let's see what the size of the lot is.
I mean, RV parking
Yeah,
for
it's
what I'm
it's
I'm
almost a half
thinking
an
about.
acre.
It also looked like it was a nice view from the back. They didn't
Yeah,
have a really direct picture of it, which also could be a lot of benefit there. Ultimately, you're going to be going and looking at it, but if they're not
mhm.
advertising, marketing the great key points of it, I mean, isn't that
No,
part of where the opportunity lies?
absolutely. So let me show you a deal that I did once. I'm gonna move off of here. Now, remember, we used the word unique, and that brought up all of these uh, potential homes, right? Unique. There was something unique about these homes, or at least the agent thought there was something unique enough about the houses on these particular homes to use that phrase unique. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second and pull something else up. So again, what do we want to do? We want to use the circle feature to really pinpoint where we want to be if we know where we want to be and we understand our market. We also want to use the draw feature if we don't know where we want to be, or in the case of some markets where if you run across the street, you're in a different town. Like where I lived in California, if you went out one side of my neighborhood, you were in one town. If you went out the other side of my neighborhood, you were in another town. And if you were in my neighborhood, you were in the county. So, so unless you like put in a very specific thing, you wouldn't necessarily pull up my neighborhood and when you're looking for houses. So that draw feature really really helps so that you can expand your reach and perhaps find those hidden gems of not just properties but also neighborhoods as well. I find that to be true here in Puerto Rico as well. I live in Rincon, but there's some properties that are on the edge of Rincon that have an Aguada zip code. So those properties that have the Aguada zip code are not going to those properties that have an Aguada zip code are not going to be as spendy, as expensive. Rincon tends to be a more expensive zip code. So if you jump that line just ever so slightly, you can be in the path of progress. And that's also what we're looking for when we're looking for a property. We're looking for something in the path of progress. So here are some keywords we want to think about: price reduced, motivated seller, fixer upper. My favorite one is TLC. TLC can often be like hoarder house, for example, because they won't write hoarder house, but they might write need some TLC as is. So if you're a real estate investor or you're somebody who's looking for your first home, this is how you want to use the keywords. The other thing I got to express, you have got to be incredibly patient. So, especially in this market, especially if you're price sensitive, especially if you're saying, "Hey, I have very specific needs of what I want to do and how I want to do it, and which neighborhood I want to do it in." Right. So you had a very specific place you were looking. Well, very many years ago, I hold on, I'm going to minimize this. Many years ago, I was driving down this road in a town called Lake Elsinore, California. Hold on, I gotta make sure I share the right thing. Why can't I share the right thing? Oh, here we go. All right.
Blame Elon. We're
Down.
blaming him for everything today.
No, that's my fault. That's just me being technologically not advanced. So I was driving down the road in Lake Elsinore, California, and Lake Elsinore is like this very weird town. It's got a baseball stadium and a minor league team that's a lot of fun, and it's almost the pride and joy of the area. Going to Storm games is a lot of fun, and it's on a lake, and that sounds really idyllic, except that the lake is disgusting. But the other thing about the lake is that it's the only lake in the area. So now you're back to having, yay, we have a lake even though you can't swim in it because it's disgusting. So we have a baseball stadium, we have a lake, and then we have a dumpy town. Except for one road. One road seemed to be updated, and it was like the downtown like area was going through some kind of revitalization, I noticed. So what did I do? I don't want to buy in the dumpy parts of town. I don't want to buy where there's a bunch of chain link fences and I'm afraid of what, might be. I want to buy near that one road. I want to buy in the path of progress. I want to buy within walking distance of that little downtown area because that is the path of progress. So I took my handy dandy circling tool and circled. I made an alert. That's another thing you guys want to be doing is especially in this competitive market, you want to be making alerts for yourself so you know when things are coming on the market. And I made my parameters of what I was looking for. And it took me over 6 months of just watching that 1-mile radius in Lake Elsinore, California, before I found this house. Okay. So this came on the market in the morning. I was on a conference call for work. And I don't recommend looking at Zillow while you're on conference calls, but hey, if they're boring enough, who's it hurting? It's hurting no one. So I was on a
Especially
conference
if you're
call and
an attorney billing by the hour.
I was
Just
billing by the
joking.
hour. I
That
can't remember
never
what the conference
happens.
call was. I don't know what I was doing. I probably shouldn't admit that. But anyhow, so I was on my conference call and this house came up. This picture came out. So this listing, now the point of what I'm telling you all of this because I want you to be discerning. I don't want you to reject listings based on the pictures. You got to think about what is it you're trying to accomplish? Do you need a rehab? Are you trying to rehab? Does this otherwise fit your criteria except it needs a little polish to it? Or is it like a no-go? My husband's like, he looks at pictures and he rejects immediately, like just rejects immediately. He has to have full faith and trust in me when it comes to real estate investing because I will come and show him things and he'll be like, I don't even understand. And you have to
Well,
have that
let
attitude.
me
What's that, Nate?
let me ask you this.
Yeah,
Is it actually beneficial to find the properties that obviously weren't professionally photographed and maybe have the
absolutely.
ugly angles? Like, is that part of the strategy?
Absolutely. No, the minute I saw this property, I gravitate towards those pictures. I gravitate towards the terribly taken pictures because everybody else is just scrolling on by. This one got listed and it had this picture and then another picture just from a different angle. It wasn't a different picture at all. It wasn't a picture of the interior. It had a very short description, but it said some very key things. First of all, it fit my circle, my 1-mile radius circle. That was number 1. For in this particular case, that was number 1. Second, it had really bad pictures, and third, it had a price tag that was pretty enticing. It came on the market in the morning, and by that afternoon, I was looking at it. I was down there with an agent taking a look at it. And guess what, guys? It was a hoarder house. It was my jackpot. But it wasn't just a hoarder house. You see, this was a house on a piece of land that had not one, but two houses and a freestanding garage, and was zoned for four houses. These people had lived in the property. They were renters and lived there for over 20 years. And the guy who inherited it was a guy whose uncle had died. He had inherited the property and he just wanted to get rid of it. He didn't want the problem anymore. They were problem tenants. They were doing drugs in there, growing weed in the garage. He just had, the only way he knew how to get rid of the tenants was to sell the property. And so
Could
I
you
went, yeah.
could you elaborate on that a little bit more? Because that is a huge risk. At least I would see it as a risk. It doesn't sound like you do. If there's hoarders, if there's vagrants living in there, that just sounds horrible to me, but it sounds like an opportunity from what you're explaining. Could you elaborate a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. And this is real simple. You make it a contingency that they need to kick out the renters before you'll close. And that's what
Easy
I
enough.
did. Yeah. So they had to evict before I would close. So I got it under contract. They couldn't cancel the contract with me. I could only cancel the contract with them. The contingency for close was the renters have to be out of there and all their stuff has to be out of there.
Easy
So,
enough.
and the guy wanted to sell. He was up in Washington State. This was in California. I didn't take advantage of him. I gave him a fair price. I think I gave him close to asking. So it wasn't that I was trying to take advantage of the guy, but his problem wasn't going to be my problem. I would pay him for the value I saw, but I wasn't going to take on problem tenants. So that's a great point. Like that. And that's why you have to make it a contingency of close to try to eliminate some of those, oh, I can't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Yeah. I wasn't going to touch renters with a 10-foot pole. Those renters, I wasn't going to touch with a 10-foot pole. I didn't want, listen, I don't care what you do in your garage. You can do whatever you want. But at the time, weed wasn't legal in California. So I wasn't super excited about, um, taking rent from weed growers. The next thing I'd know, like the feds were taking my property and, that was the end of it. So I wasn't interested in that. The other thing is I knew they were up to no good in some other capacities. Cause if you look up here, you see all these antennas. They were doing something. What, I'm not sure. But they had all of these antennas up here and the entire kitchen didn't have a kitchen. It only had like CB radio equipment.
Well, how
So
else are you going to communicate with your home planet?
yeah, so I was just like, yeah, this all has to go. Like, you need to take all your CB radio equipment and be gone. So I don't even know if I have. Oh, I do. So this is the after. This is the first house, and then there's the second house after. I I'd show you the interior, but I mean, this is just a regular old rehab, and I was able to make some good money from it. But that was me looking in like a really, really, really specific place, and using these keywords and being really super patient and knowing exactly what I was looking for, right? I'm looking for a property that I can add value to, that because I know this is the path of progress. That was my criteria. So one of the things that you really need to understand in doing this and using Zillow is to know what your criteria is and what your tolerance is, right? Because I don't, Nate, I have tolerance for quarter houses. I have tolerance for putting things into contingency and making that. I have a tolerance for rehab. Not everybody has that tolerance, but what I don't have a tolerance for is like cracked foundation, trying to move a supporting wall. Like, I don't have tolerance for that. So you want to go into this knowing what your tolerance is, whether you're a real estate investor or you're or just looking for your home. That's my next example actually is looking for I have 2 examples. One of where I help somebody find a home, and then the other one of where I found a home myself. Uh, I found several homes using this method. So let's go back to my pretty little pictures. And these were the pictures from the ad that I saw for the home I live in now. Okay. And this, I mean, I just want you to look at this picture on
All
the
we're
right.
seeing is the
Oh,
crack house.
oh, sorry.
Like, you
Gotcha.
don't live there, right?
No, that house is now worth like it's got to be worth like 750. That house I bought for like 280 just a couple years ago. Okay, let's go back here. Okay, here we are. So this is the house in Puerto Rico I saw online. Now I didn't see that this one was not on Zillow. This was on a website called Classificados. Sometimes Zillow is just your starting point to figure out where all the other websites are, by the way. So I found this one on Classificados, and there weren't a lot of pictures, and they were all like this. Now, here's the thing. They were all like this, and I have them blown up here, but the ones I saw were like this size. They were tiny and grainy and terrible. And I saw this and I thought, "Oh, I smell money. I smell money." They took these pictures on a cloudy day. You could barely, really even tell what's going on. Is this a pool? What the hell is this thing? Right? Like when I showed this picture to a couple of people, they thought I had a pond in my backyard. So I could see the opportunity here, and I thought, this is money. And it's been sitting on the market for a super long time. It's not moving. There's an opportunity here. Let me find out what it is. And I did. And then I came in and I rehabbed it. And that's what we ended up with. So you just have to keep knowing. And the keyword I used to find this was foreclosure. So again, those keywords are super, super important in what you're looking for. So going back to looking at somebody here, I'm going to pull this over here. Somebody who is looking for a home. I got this email from somebody. I'm going to read the email. I don't want to expose the person. She compliments me a lot. Hold on. Read all the
I
compliments.
love that. Your head's not big enough. Go ahead and read the compliment so we can all understand and bask in your glory for a minute.
Okay. I started contemplating my big move. She has 3 kids, a mom, and a tiny zoo of animals. Somewhere with decent schools and ideally an affordable home. And she wrote, I mean, if anyone has real estate wisdom to share, it's got to be you, right? So um, she was renting in San Diego, and she's just like, "I can't afford anything in San Diego. Can you find me something outside of San Diego, but Southern California, where I can still, send my kids to school, and I have some land for my animals, and it's housing that's actually below the national average in terms of cost, or I guess not national average, but California average. Um, and where can we go?" And so I gave her a bunch of places in Southern California using just that criteria. How did I do it? I drew a big circle. I had a very defined, I put at least 0.25 acres of land. And I also said, I'm looking for I can't remember how I did the schools, but I think I just put the word school in my keywords. And it brought up all kinds of things that she could potentially get into. And I told her about those communities too. It got her things that were in Canyon Lake, Desert Hot Springs, if you know anything about Southern California, Murrieta, Wildemar, Temecula. I looked for the words motivated seller, and that pulled up a bunch of stuff. This is Southern California, folks. So you can find stuff in any kind of market. It doesn't matter. There's always going to be motivated sellers. You don't know what their motivation is, but there's always going to be motivated sellers. And then I also found her stuff in some sketchy parts of town, and I told her these are in the sketchy parts of town, so proceed with caution. And also homes that are within the path of progress. I want to show
Can
one
I
more
ask
thing.
you, how do you
Yeah.
know the path of progress? Is it just simply knowing the market, or is there some magic tool or research that you can do?
Huge indication of the path of progress is how many new home communities are going up. Another indication of the path of progress is, believe it or not, if a Target's going in anywhere. Target, not Walmart. So,
Well, being in Texas, you know the town is growing when it gets its first Sonic, then its first traffic light, and then Walmart comes in, and you know they're a huge little small town.
yeah. So, you know when you really know a town's making it. I'm not even kidding. And these there's two businesses that come always together. Cheesecake Factory.
Makes
Cheesecake
sense.
Factory very much denotes that there's progress in the town. And Cheesecake Factory always comes with a Nordstrom rack. So those are kinds of the things you want to look for. Like, where's a new Trader Joe's going in? Where's a Whole Foods going in? I mean, like, it depends on your level of fancy, right? Like, where are you hanging at? And if you're more like, if you're looking for a good quality middle class town, look for Aldi's. Where are Aldi's going in? Aldi's are constantly popping up, but they're not going to be popping up in places that don't have a path of progress. So, those are kind of the things you want to look for. I
And
do want to show you one
seriously,
of,
nobody thinks about that. So thank you so much for
yeah.
sharing and enlightening. I need to
Um,
send you some complimentary emails, evidently.
yeah, absolutely. If anybody's out there and listening right now, and you want to put in the comments below a city or a state, I'm going to show you one more trick with Zillow that I think people often overlook, and and we'll try to see if we can find you something juicy. But if not, I'm gonna just pick an obscure area in Florida, because Florida has a lot of people and a lot of inventory. So I'm just gonna pull up the entire state of Florida, and we're gonna draw a circle.
We
All
can't
right.
see
So
anything.
here's
There we go.
Florida. All right. So, and I've done this before. It's kind of fun. What we do is, first of all, we remove the boundary. And then what we do is we're going to draw. Let's just say we want to be by a coast. So we'll just say we want to be on the West Coast. I did this drawing one day where I was like, you know what? We'll go all the way to Alabama. Let's see what's happening. We'll go in the middle of the ocean, all the way down to Naples, back up. We just want to live by the ocean. That's our goal. Okay. So, and we'll apply that. Okay, so we come up with all kinds of stuff, and then we have no criteria here. But if you put in things like, let's do in-law. In-law is a good one if you need more than one unit, but you're not looking for multifamily.
Oh my God, you just terrified me with that. I don't want to live with in-laws. No, no search, no search, no search.
Yeah. Oh my God. I know they like to watch this program, so you better be careful.
Sorry, mama.
Um, yeah. And then there's some here that we can look for accepting backup offers. These are all the things that don't automatically get clicked. But there's another tab over here too, by owner and other. And here's where they don't automatically get clicked, are those foreclosures and the pre-foreclosures, right? So I'm going to tell you right now, if you're going for an auction foreclosure or pre-foreclosure, my experience is you got to come with cash. So this is for you guys who are selling for your house for a lot of money in those hot markets and are looking to go to a less expensive market. This is a plan for you. I do this method all the time. Generally speaking, though, where you're going to eventually find the deal is off of Zillow. You're going to have to take some action off of Zillow, but this leads you to those deals. Right now, we're just talking about how to find stuff on Zillow. Also, it gives you by owner and other. So you can also find those deals that otherwise won't come up in a regular search. Zillow is designed for agents. So if you put something on here by yourself, it's going to get buried in this by owner or other, and it has to be clicked on. And it's a great way to get some of those deals that don't get seen a lot. So apply that and look at these are all places that have in-law suites that you can check out. Look at pre-foreclosure. That's kind of nice. Look at that. Very nice photos for something that's pre-foreclosure. I'll say that. So, um, who knows how likely it's going to sell or if it's
I mean,
even
for that one, it looks like a really weird thumbnail picture. Is that something to really look at? Is what picture leads off, or do you tend to see you got to get a little bit deeper and everybody that's looking gets a little bit deeper? Is that something that you would want to look for?
So, yeah, it's a great question. So on the two properties I showed you, and I could have shown you a third, but like in a lot of times that I've done this, what I've done is like I've become obsessed. And that's like if you're really looking for great deals and if you're really looking for a home that you just love and you feel good about buying, you have to become obsessed in this market. You have to be obsessed. And what I mean by that is if you can't go like I'm in Puerto Rico right now, so I can't go look at this property right now. But if I saw a property that I was like, "Wait a minute. That is a property that I need to know more about." You can take a look at that property, examine those pictures, download those pictures, understand the school system, look at Google Maps, find out where all the grocery stores are, find out where all of I hate to say this, run Megan's Law, find out where all the pedophiles are. Um things like that. And
Not
you'll
to buy
really get
near, to stay away from. Just to,
yeah, exactly. I don't think anybody's looking to move in with pedophiles unless you're a fellow pedophile, I'm guessing. So, but yeah, so if like find those things that are important to you. For me, you guys can think I'm crazy, but having living in Puerto Rico and not being by a Trader Joe's has kind of driven me crazy. Like I love Trader Joe's, it's just my thing. So now, whenever I look at places, whether I'm looking for like, because I'm kind of looking for like, maybe I'd like to buy a little vacation home somewhere or something like that. I'm always looking for Trader Joe's. Like how close is it? If I really fall in love with something, I want to know how close the Trader Joe's is to that place. But here's the real boss move. You go to Google Earth and you zoom out from the property and you can really get a lay of where it is and what's around it. The house I'm sitting in right now, I showed you those two pictures. I'm looking at the ocean right now. It's very gray out, but I am looking at the ocean right now. There were no ocean pictures on that listing whatsoever. There was no mention of an ocean view in that listing whatsoever. I knew it had an ocean view from my house in California because I zoomed out and Google Earthed the whole thing. So these like, yeah, you just have to become obsessed when you find something like I'll show you this deal right now that I saw. I think it's Newport Richey, Florida. Let's see if we can find it. I have in-law in here, so we got to get that keyword out. You got to get your keywords out. And I also think I'm looking at the buy owner other, so we want to get that out. And
And why are you choosing the agent versus owner for this particular search?
Because I know this property. Like I did a keyword and I stumbled upon this property. You know what's funny? I stumbled upon this property and then I saw, I think it's more than 4,000 square feet. I saw it on Zillow Gone Wild. So I was like real proud of myself.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm not going to find it. All right. Well, that's okay. Or maybe it sold. It could have sold. Anyhow, but like, yeah, I mean, you want to start on that particular property, the one I'm talking about. I started looking, see, no, I don't think I favorited it because I wasn't gonna, yeah, I didn't favorite it. But on that particular one, I started really examining it because it had this interesting layout. And that's another thing you want to really examine. Start thinking about, am I going to be able to fit my furniture into this house in a way that's interesting or that's good for me? And I started really examining it and I noticed they had this massive doll collection that was like super creepy. So,
Seen those. It's terrifying when you walk in and there's just doll heads lined up on the cupboard.
oh my God, no, 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 thank you. I don't know why that stuff. I mean, it's like it's just doll heads, it's just pieces of plastic, but I don't know. Okay. So I'm just gonna give you guys real quick things that you can use as keywords. Motivated seller is one of my favorite ones. Price reduced shows motivation as well. Uh, price improvement is the new buzzword now. Price improvement. It used to be price reduced. Now it's price improvement. Makes it sound better. So, below market value, must sell, bring all offers, seller financing. TLC is my favorite one. Fixer. Don't do fixer upper or fix up because I find you get more results if you just do fixer. It will bring up fixer upper or fix up. If investor, the keyword investor, because a lot of times what they'll say is like calling all investors or investor special. Potential is another great one. Pre-foreclosure, short sale, foreclosure, bank owned, REO is another good one. If you're finding like off market opportunities, but remember for those, you're going to need all cash a lot of times, not necessarily for the foreclosures. I have bought foreclosures. This house was a foreclosure. I bought it with a bank financing, and I bought another foreclosure in California with bank financing as well. Vintage. One time I was trying to look for a mid-century home model. So I just put mid-century. So keywords are your best friends. Circles, knowing your properties, circling outside of a zip code so that you capture anything that might be on the fringe. These are the things that we've learned today.
You know, could I ask a big favor from you? And it's really for everybody that's watching. Could we put together a nice, easy document that kind of lists out these ideas? And please, for everybody, go to our website, Entrepreneur, with the KNEWER.com. Join our newsletter list, and we'll send you all this information that we're covering so you don't have to take notes the whole time, please.
And I wish I thought of that. I have a bunch of notes here for myself. I should have just put it in a nice, pretty document, but now I will. Thank you, Nate.
No, thank you. Appreciate the courtesy.
Hey, does anybody have any questions before we wrap up? We got like 2 minutes before we're gonna head out, but that's how you use Zillow. I will also perhaps one day do a stream on how to buy properties that have been taken by the government, which is something interesting. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest.
There's a great treasury auction website
Yeah, I
in
know. That's
Cisco.
what I'm talking about. I feel weird about it. I feel I feel weird about treasury auctions because you just never know the story, and I feel like you're buying the bad energy. I suppose you're buying a bad energy in foreclosures too, but there's a special kind of bad energy when the government's taking your stuff. Now, if we know what the crime was, but I followed this girl on TikTok that had her stuff seized by the Department of Justice, and they eventually gave it all back, but they had already sold her home, so that was the end of that. So, you
And
know.
if you're looking for a really beautiful home, they've got these great homes for sale or the auction through this treasury auction right along the Mexican-Texas border. There may be tunnels underneath it, but they are gorgeous, and you know exactly
Oh,
why
dang.
they were taken.
Yeah, no, thank you. Like every time I see some of those houses in Texas, outside of certain border towns, they're like these beautiful, like custom homes. And I'm like, where's this beautiful custom home? How can I get it? And then I'm like, oh, it's no thanks.
There's something to really be able to identify those areas, and it is five-man football. In Texas, football is tops. Well, in these
Yeah.
small towns, they don't have enough people for, students for a full football team. So it's a whole network of five-man football teams in these small towns that play. And some of the best football players in America come out of them because they get so much extra play because there's no one else
Oh.
to get out there.
Oh, wow. Well, wow, that's interesting. That's a great point. All right. Well, there you go. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Nate, any final words?
You know what? No, I just have to say thank you for you today. You're just so great. I'm going to email you about 5 times later on giving you compliments. But these are truly things and strategies and ideas that the average us don't think about. And there's some secret sauce there. So thank you so much for sharing that with myself and the world.
All right. You're welcome. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next. What are we doing next week? Oh, we don't know yet, or do we know?
We don't know. We'll figure it out.
I will figure it out. Bye. All right. You